Canada's greatest asset isn't its massive geography or its natural resources. It's the collective will of its people to build something bigger, generation after generation. That idea became the defining message of this Canada Day. At a time when much of the world feels increasingly divided, uncertain, and consumed by political conflict, Mark Carney delivered something very different. Rather than focusing on partisan debates or short term victories, he spoke directly about Canada's identity, its history, and the belief that optimism remains a choice worth making. But this wasn't simply a celebration of the past. It was an argument about the future. It asked whether Canadians are still willing to build together, whether the country's greatest achievements can be repeated, and whether Canada is ready to lead in a world that desperately needs cooperation instead of division. And before the speech was over, an unexpected announcement would reinforce that message in a way few people anticipated. Carney began by reminding Canadians of the remarkable scale of the country they call home, a nation stretching across three oceans, six time zones, and roughly 10 million square kilometers. Those numbers alone are impressive, but they are not what truly define Canada. Geography explains where Canada is. It does not explain how it became what it is. The answer, he argued, lies in a simple conviction that has guided the country since its earliest days: the belief that the whole is greater than the sum of its parts. That principle has shaped Canada's biggest moments and continues to shape its future. He pointed first to 1867, when four colonies chose to unite instead of standing apart. That decision created the foundation for a country built not on uniformity, but on partnership. It was a leap of faith that cooperation could accomplish what isolation never could. That same conviction appeared again in 1885 with the completion of the National Railway, connecting east to west across immense distances that once seemed impossible to overcome. The railway was more than steel and timber. It was proof that Canadians could overcome geography through determination and shared purpose. Decades later, history repeated itself once more. In 1962, the Trans Canada Highway connected St. John's to Victoria, linking communities from coast to coast. Each generation inherited the work of the one before it, then expanded it even further. Those achievements were never presented as museum pieces or distant memories. Instead, Carney suggested that the same spirit is returning today. Canadians are rediscovering their country, not simply by looking back at what was built, but by participating in new acts of solidarity stretching from the Cabot Trail to the Columbia Icefield. The message was clear: nation building is not finished. It is something every generation chooses to continue. That naturally raised an important question: what allows such a vast and diverse country to remain united? Carney's answer rejected the idea that unity requires everyone to become the same. Instead, he described diversity as one of Canada's greatest strengths, something to nurture rather than something to manage. Unity, in this vision, comes from shared purpose rather than identical backgrounds. He tied that vision to three enduring principles: inclusivity, sustainability, and solidarity. Together, those values form the foundation of a country that continues to grow while respecting the many communities that make it unique. But idealism alone cannot ignore reality. Carney acknowledged that Canadians face a world that has become more dangerous and more divided. Global uncertainty continues to grow, and recent events have demonstrated how quickly crises can test even the strongest societies. Among the examples he highlighted were the devastating wildfires and the courageous crews battling them in Fort Simpson, Northwest Territories. Their work became a reminder that courage is not an abstract concept. It appears in ordinary people who step forward when circumstances demand it. Rather than portraying these challenges as reasons to retreat, Carney argued that they are reasons to move forward. Moments of uncertainty do not eliminate opportunity, they reveal character. As he suggested, fortune favors the bold. From there, the speech expanded beyond Canada's borders. To explain why cooperation matters more than ever, Carney turned to the perspective of astronaut Jeremy Hansen. Looking back at Earth from space changes how people see themselves. Individual problems can appear overwhelming, but humanity's greatest achievements have always depended on people working together toward a common objective. The Artemis team serves as an example of exactly that. No single person accomplishes a mission of that scale alone. Success emerges through collaboration, trust, and the willingness to contribute to something larger than oneself. Carney used that perspective to reinforce a broader national lesson. Canadians may sometimes feel small when facing global challenges, but united efforts have repeatedly achieved what once seemed impossible. The same principle that built railways across a continent can also shape Canada's future role in the world. And according to Carney, that role extends well beyond national borders. He argued that Canada has an opportunity to lead through partnership, strengthening security, expanding trade, and sharing culture with the wider world. Leadership in this sense is not about domination. It is about offering something valuable that others want to build alongside. Then came one of the most unexpected moments of the speech. Carney highlighted Canada's remarkable position as the world's third largest exporter of music. That fact alone surprised many listeners, but it served as the introduction to an announcement few could have predicted. Canada, he revealed, will officially join the Eurovision Song Contest. The announcement transformed a discussion about culture into a symbol of international connection. Instead of simply watching from the sidelines, Canadians will now participate directly on one of the world's biggest musical stages. Even more significantly, Canadians themselves will decide which artist earns the honor of representing the country beneath the maple leaf. It was a reminder that influence is measured not only through economics or diplomacy, but also through culture. Sometimes music becomes another language through which nations build relationships. After looking outward, Carney turned his attention back home. If Canada hopes to lead internationally, he argued, it must continue strengthening itself domestically. That means building a more unified economy through cooperative federalism, bringing provinces and territories together around shared national goals. His vision was ambitious: new homes, modern infrastructure, expanded transportation networks, stronger defense capabilities, new energy projects, development reaching every province and territory. But perhaps most importantly, he emphasized how that work should be accomplished using Canadian workers, Canadian steel, Canadian know how. Those words reflected more than economic policy. They expressed confidence that Canada's future should be built by Canadians themselves. It was another return to the same themes that had carried the speech from the very beginning: courage, connection, and conviction. As the address approached its conclusion, Carney shared one final story that tied everything together. He reflected on a lesson involving Colonel Jeremy Hansen and Artemis II mission commander Reed Wiseman. They suggested that the greatest measure of a successful mission is not endless celebration, it is reaching a point where the mission eventually becomes forgotten because the next generation has gone even further. That idea transformed the entire speech. Success is not simply completing today's project. Success is creating opportunities that allow future generations to dream even bigger. Today, Canadians are aiming for the moon through Artemis. They are also looking toward the World Cup. Different goals, different stages, but the same underlying principle. Every generation should inherit a stronger foundation than the one before it. That, Carney argued, is the true measure of progress. Not what today's leaders accomplish for themselves, but what tomorrow's Canadians are able to accomplish because of the choices being made today. In the end, this Canada Day speech became far more than a national celebration. It became an invitation to see Canada as an unfinished project, one built by countless generations working together, strengthened by diversity, tested by adversity, and driven by the belief that cooperation can achieve what division never will. If that vision becomes reality, then Canada's most important chapters may still be waiting to be written. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to like, subscribe to Canada Today, and let us know your thoughts in the comments. What does Canada Day mean to you? And what gives you the most hope for Canada's future?